What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to today's Finest for January 9th, 2018, fueled as always by Nerd Teas. Today's blend is one I don't think I've mentioned on the show before, Golden Apple Spice. And folks, it tastes great. It smells even better. My area here literally smells like a freshly baked apple pie. So let's get the sub count showing there, and this is the first time that I'll have to really kind of cross a mental barrier, because as you can see, the sub count did not move, and that's the first time since I've started this show that the sub count didn't move between episodes. So that's a mental barrier, a mental hurdle for me to get up over. It's not the biggest possible hurdle. The biggest possible hurdle is that number going down. So luckily that wasn't the case, but we didn't move anywhere in a couple of days, which stings a little bit, but you know what? Just means I got to work that much harder. Also, as I mentioned a few days ago, don't forget to follow the channel on Snapchat. BWF_902 is the exclusive Snapchat channel for the YouTube channel. So make sure you follow there. You'll get all kinds of behind the scenes stuff when I put it out there. Make sure you follow us on Snapchat, BWF_902. All right, and the first half of today's Finest is going to come with a parental advisory. I've never done this before. Parental advisory: excessive contextual bad language is ahead. So I won't be shocked if YouTube hits me with one of their oh-so-famous and lovely limited no ad suitability strikes, which so far they are about 0 for 20 on my channel. But I won't be surprised if I get hit with one here. The first portion of today's Finest is the first part in what I wish wouldn't be an ongoing series, but I'm sure will be. Who would have thought there'd be repercussions for saying some dumb stuff on the internet? So this happened either yesterday or the day before, but a popular partnered Twitch streamer, whose name I will not give in order to not give him any extra SEO or social media buzz. It'll be very easy to find out who this person is with a very quick Google search. But a popular Twitch partnered streamer of the game Fortnite, which is basically PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds meets Minecraft, which is kind of a really cool idea for a game, and the game looks super fun. Anyways, a Fortnite streamer, and he's a popular Fortnite streamer, chose to use his platform to deride the notion of anxiety, depression, and basically mental illness as a whole. Live on stream, he addressed a fellow streamer who had asked him a question about anxiety, depression, and more specifically, suicide. It seemed like that was a big part of the question that they had asked him. And his response was that if someone that he was responsible for, and I'm paraphrasing here, if someone that he was responsible for threatened him with committing suicide, he would not only dare them to do it, but then would turn around and completely cut that person out of his life. And boy, by the previous sentence, what a loss that would be. He then proceeds to claim that people who seek help and talk to people they know about their illnesses, their mental illnesses, their struggles, he proceeds to call them weak for seeking compassion. He then further boasted to, and this is a direct quote, not give a fuck about his own girlfriend's anxiety when she brought it up to him. He basically explained, mansplained, whatever, that her anxiety wasn't real and that she needed to knock it off. He then explained that since doing that, she no longer talks about her anxiety, and that is proof positive that it's not real, which is just, I mean, my God, the deductive powers is just tremendous. Like, okay, we're going to keep this in the video game parlance. Has anyone out there played the game L.A. Noire, where you play an LAPD detective who's solving cases ranging from theft to murder all across Los Angeles? I mean, look, they've been trying to make an L.A. Noire sequel for a few years. Forget about Cole Phelps. Get this guy, because his detective powers are just incredible. Like they rival Batman. Like this guy is just incredible, because look, no crime in LA can defeat his grasp douchebag Twitch streamer. Because remember, if you basically tell your girlfriend she's dumb because she has anxiety and she stops talking about it, that means it's not real. So, after basically the entire internet decides to call him out on his terrible bullshit opinions, he does what anybody who puts out terrible bullshit opinions does after they get called out on it. He posts a simpering, whiny, choreographed, "I'm sorry" video. Probably the most disingenuous move that you can possibly do in that scenario is put out the, "Oh, I'm sorry." He stopped short of saying my words were taken out of context. But what he did say was that, "Oh, I don't really believe what I said." So that means he was either A, being fake with his own followers, or B, is now being fake with the rest of us because he's been called out on his stupidity. Either way, it makes him an incredible phony at best. Luckily, the response to this has been swift. He's been fired from his esports team, he's lost multiple sponsors through Twitch, and his Twitch channel has actually been taken down reportedly for a terms of service violation. Terms of service violation being a nice way of saying you can't imply that you would dare people to commit suicide on our service, you jack off. Look, I speak as someone who does not suffer from constant and persistent anxiety and depression. I have my moments. I have my moments just like everybody else. But they're not constant. They're not persistent. They're not there all the time. I know people who do suffer from that in varying degrees. I know people who have talked very openly about committing suicide. I know people who have survived their own suicide attempts. I'm fortunate in so much as, again, not only do I not suffer, but I don't know anyone who hasn't survived their own suicide attempts yet, luckily. Knock on wood, knock on wood. I hope I never do. So, to this Twitch streamer, I would say this. From me, from all the people I have mentioned or implied, and for the countless others that I would have no way of knowing that they exist, but at the same time, know they exist. Fuck you, you entitled little internet brat. You're entitled to your opinions, but you're not entitled to not have the rest of the world tell you you're an idiot for the worst of them. So, for your stupid opinions, for your terrible and hurtful rhetoric, for your god-awful garbage logic, and on behalf of anyone else out there who might think they know better, like you clearly tried to prove that you did and failed miserably, fuck you. God, is this what all those quiet video game nerds in high school who claimed to be good guys, is this what they all turned into? I say all that with the caveat being, I'm not 1,000% sure, because you never can be anymore, that whole thing is not just some ridiculous Logan Paul internet prank. It's possible. Maybe it is. And if it is, good for you, I guess. I guess this is giving you exactly what you want. I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure he'll Tommy Wiseau it and turn around and say, "Oh yeah, it's all a social experiment." Because that's just what idiots on the internet do now. Anyway, let's talk about something that's far less important than that whole conversation. Let's talk about my TV watching habits during the Olympics. More specifically, I will not be watching 1 ounce of the NHL during the Winter Olympics. Why? Because NHL players should be there. And the primary reason they aren't there is because Gary Bettman is a weasel. First of all, before I go any further, I made a video in March of last year, which I'm going to link in the description below. I would ask that you watch it because that was my kind of more in the moment reaction to the fact that the NHL players likely weren't going to go to the Olympics, although there was still time to save it at that point. So I was a shade more optimistic. Right now, we're like, look, they're not there. They're not going to be there. They might be there in 4 years because of Bettman and his ridiculousness. But they're not there. So I'm approaching this with a slightly more clear head. But I do want you to watch that one because that video I find to be Maybe the most passionate video that I've ever done. So again, it's in the description below. Please give that a watch. It's only about 7-8 minutes. Like everything in life, NHL player involvement in the Winter Olympics has its objective positives and its objective negatives, and you can't take a balanced look at anything without approaching both. To me, the objective positives of NHL players going to the Olympics, it's just the pageantry of everything. Like, it's the experience of, like, I'm an Olympic athlete. Sure, I'm a professional athlete and I get paid a ton of money to do what I do, but I'm an Olympic athlete right now. Proof positive that I am one of the greatest in the world. And sure, that might sound selfish, but that's a real feather in somebody's cap. And it's the pageantry of, like, oh my God, look, it's the Olympics. With the Olympics comes the exposure of the best players in the world on the world's biggest stage. The NHL is not the world's biggest stage. Hell, the NHL isn't even the world's biggest rinks. The Olympics was, is, and always will be the biggest athletic stage in the world. And for them to not be there, they don't have that opportunity to compete on the biggest stage in the world. If a sport is in the Olympics, it gets that worldwide coverage and that worldwide attention, which can only benefit the sport. You have an incredible men's and women's hockey tournament at the Olympics. That winter, you're going to have kids in countries that don't typically have hockey want to play hockey. That's good for the overall health of the sport. And it's the current fan experience and it's the new fan experience. The Olympics can create new hockey fans that then say, oh, well, look at this. The only way I can see these players is by watching this. The Olympics is that kind of stage that can create new interest and create new fans. And these are mostly objective negatives from the league's perspective, which, again, you have to take their perspective into account. The NHL must lend players who are under contract to their league and their teams out to someone else's tournament. The NHL basically has to shut its doors for weeks at a time during a time of the year when the only competition they face from any of the other big four sports is the NBA. At the Olympics, injuries, even serious ones, can and do happen. We've seen that over the last couple of Olympics where significant players, star players in the NHL, have suffered season-ending injuries at the Olympics. They do happen. And the NHL sees little to no benefit to doing it. Aha! I'm going to say this line solely to benefit my friend Tyler. I'ma be real because be real was real. Gary Bettman and the NHL owners said no to 2018 because they can't make any money off of it. That's the beginning and the end. In this instance, they don't care what's good for the sport. They don't care what the desire of the players is. They only care about what their pocketbooks look like, which in the short term is good business. It's undeniable. And look, the NHL is not completely anti-Olympics. If you'll remember from back in the day, the NHL was willing to go if A, they could make some money off of it, or B, the players would agree to extend the collective bargaining agreement by, I believe it was 3 years. So we're not talking exclusively about Bettman versus the Olympics. We're talking about Bettman versus not making money. And this is why he's a weasel, because it's about nothing but dollars. And this is why I'm not going to be watching the NHL during the Olympics, because I refuse to be a source of income for Gary Bettman and for the NHL owners during the Olympics. I refuse to be a ratings point for them during the Olympics, because that's only going to make them say, well, look at our ratings during the Olympics. We don't have to go again in 4 years. Look at the ratings we pulled during the Olympics. That I'm not going to be a part of. I refuse to be involved in their short-sightedness. And when the Olympics are over, I'll come back. But during the Olympics, they will not see anything from me except for the content and the revenue that I make off of talking about them. How's that for a role reversal, Bettman? Woo! Rant City, am I right? All right, folks, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's Finest for today. And I know we didn't go on our walk. Here's your hook for next time. I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court here. Our next episode is going to be probably the beginning of the week. So we're looking at probably Monday. I'm going to try to sneak it in on Monday. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-produce that whole thing for you. And that's going to be the whole episode. Maybe part of the problem is I'm trying to like wedge it in with something else. That's going to be the entire episode. Basically, we're going to take a walk through my neighborhood. I'm going to show you where I grew up, show you where I lived. And again, I want to show you that nice riverfront park that we've put up in our town now. I think it's a nice little feather in our cap. I think it's a nice little place. So I want to show it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record that whole thing and pre-produce it, do a little intro, a little outro, and that's going to be the entire episode at the beginning of this coming week. Just because I've made you now wait so long for it, I got to give you a little bit of a better payoff. So we're going to pre-produce the whole thing, and that'll be what you see at the beginning of the week. All right, folks, that's it for me. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by NerdTees. Once again, nerdtees.ca. You can use the promo code BWFinest. It's going to save you 15% at checkout. Might be a little too late for Valentine's Day as it is right now, but look, there's never a bad time of year to give someone you love some tea. Or get some tea for yourself. Find something that you're going to love. You'll find it at nerdtees.ca. Once again, promo code BWFinest. Save 15% at checkout. If you're Canadian, you can get free shipping on any order over $50. If you're American, you get a great conversion on the American dollar. There's no reason not to go for it, guys. nerdtees.ca, promo code BWFinest. And we'll see you again at the start of the week.